Hi everybody, I'm Dan Bickford. Welcome to Carolina Rides, our semi-weekly look at what's going on around the car community in the upstate western North Carolina and maybe some things that you want to know about vehicles. And that's kind of what we're going to be doing today. First off, I do want to remind everybody that we do have a social media presence. You may be watching me right now on YouTube, on our YouTube channel at Carolina Rides WSPA. If you are watching us on the WSPA Plus streaming channel, you can always check out the YouTube channel. We've got all of our old episodes up there as well. And if you have any questions about anything or suggestions on future guests or just want to interact, throw some pictures up from some local shows, whatever, we're on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at Carolina Rides on Facebook and on Instagram. You can find that at Carolina Rides Official WSPA. Now we join our guest for the week. It's Jim Evans. Like me, he's a member of the Hub City Corvette Club, so let's get that out of the way right now. How you doing, Jim?
Good morning.
Good. What we're going to be talking about today is kind of car care stuff as we get toward winter. The temperatures are starting to cool. And a lot of folks with classic or muscle cars are just rides they like to cherish, even convertibles. They don't get driven nearly as much once the weather turns cold. What shouldn't you do when that happens? First, Jim, before we hit that, let's talk a little bit about your background with mechanics and all that sort of thing.
Well, my background, from the age of 14, I was trained as a body man. I worked in body shops, painted, ran body shops, spent 30 years in the insurance industry as an appraiser, trainer, manager. I own my own motorcycle dealerships in Connecticut and ASE and ICAR certified.
All right, so you have seen a few things involving vehicles over the years. Let's start with the basic thing. Somebody's wanting to go ahead and put their car away, or we'll just start with maybe some winter storage. People probably have ideas, or maybe there are things that they are doing already. What are some of the things they should and shouldn't be doing?
Well, there's ideas, and then there's misconceptions about the whole thing. It depends. If you aren't going to drive it, and you're just going to put it away, as we used to do when I lived up north. 3-4 months a year, you would store everything and not touch it. So a couple of things. Depends on your budget. One of the most effective ways is to buy a car capsule. But that's a couple $1,000s. You have to leave it plugged in all the time. It's a complete canopy, zipped in, zips your car into a big plastic enclosure, keeps air flowing through it, keeps everything out of it. Because one of the biggest problems, and this is from my years in the insurance industry, is mice getting in, because all the wiring harnesses are soaked in soy oil when the cars are shipped and made, because soy oil doesn't allow corrosion to happen. But soy oil attracts rodents. So that's one of the biggest things if you aren't going to be driving the car, or even if you are going to be driving the car, it's one of the things you want to keep an eye on. And again, probably the first thing you should do is go to the Spartanburg Humane Society and adopt a cat. That would be your first choice. But other than that, there's a lot of things you can do. And again, it depends on your situation. If you're in a household or in a garage where you have pets and everything coming around, I brought visual aids today.
All right.
There's mouse trays that the food that's in there, if your pet does get it, it will not harm them. Okay? And those work pretty well. There's glue traps. These are probably my favorite. You can just put a couple pieces of food, a peanut, something, put it right on the glue trap, put it underneath the seats of the car, put it in the engine compartment, anywhere in the car. Just check them once in a while, because dead rodents smell if you leave them there for a while, so pull them out. If you're in a place where no mice, no animals can get in, or humans, these bricks, bait chunks, these are the best thing for killing rodents. It dehydrates them and they die. And when the bricks get small enough, they take them back to the nest and everybody feasts on them. But again, if you have pets or small children, don't use these. These are very, very poisonous. Your Harbor Freight buckets that you get for free, fill them halfway with water. Put them near the doors of your garage. The mice will get in the bucket because they're always looking for water. Once they hit the water, they can't climb out of the bucket. So you fill it halfway, you will find floating mice in the bucket. So, a lot of different things you can do. The other thing, bowl covers, put these over your exhaust pipes and tape them. That'll keep mice from entering through your exhaust pipes. Age-old bounce. Put them everywhere in the car. One, it'll make the car smell good. Two, it keeps mice away. Peppermint oil also works, and if you can stand the smell, one of the best things is mothballs.
What are some of the worst episodes you have seen of what happens, the damage that can be caused when you get the rodents inside the vehicle?
Well, I can speak from personal experience. And this was a car that we drove. We had a Chrysler 300. This was when we lived in Connecticut. Hemi in it, everything. So my wife was driving the car and it just died on her. So I went out, got the car started, drove it home. You would drive it, it would die, drive it, die. Took it to the dealer. They found in the center console a mouse nest that chewed on one of the harnesses. So they replaced one harness. It was only $50, $60, not a big deal. Didn't turn it in to the insurance company or anything. Kept having a problem after that. Long story short, the insurance company didn't listen to me. I was owning my own motorcycle dealerships at the time. They wouldn't listen to me, and they kept on throwing. They spent $18,000 replacing every wiring harness, and the only thing left to replace was the internals of the transmission, and they finally ended up totaling the car. When they took the interior out of the car, the battery cables that ran under the passenger seat, there were 10 electrocuted mice still attached to the battery cable.
Wow.
So they can do some severe damage. And like I said, this wasn't a car that was stored. This was a car that was driven every day. And they still got in and just destroyed it.
Yeah. So you can be careful. Yeah, you can imagine what could happen with a vehicle that's in a garage, even if it's attached to the house. You know, over time, over a couple months or whatever, it's just, you know, you're not checking every day. And
it's a feeding frenzy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, you know, it's a good source of food. And like I said, one of the biggest, especially, you know, any car from like 2005 on, and any car that was imported, before they put them in a container, before they put the parts in a container, they soak them in soy oil so they don't get corrosion on their trip overseas. And it's just a magnet for them.
All right, so now we're keeping the mice away. We've got that taken care of. Now we also have to think about some of the things we may want to do with fluids that should be normally in the car. What should we be doing in terms of gasoline and oil? Should be in the car? Should that not be in the car? Should you change the oil before you put the car away? Should you wait till you pull it back out? What should we do with all that?
Different schools of thought on that. Personally, what I've always done is I'll put the car away with the oil that I've driven in. In the spring, before you bring it out, I would put fresh oil in it at that time and change the oil. That's some people like to change it before they put it away and then have to change it again when they bring it out because the oil will break down over time. Down here, I'd wait till spring because you might find a day you're going to drive the car because down here you don't get the snow, you don't get the ice, you don't get the sand and salt on the roads as you do in cold weather climates normally.
What about gasoline? Should we make sure there's maybe just enough to start the car? Should we be leaving gas in there but putting additives in there? What are the types of things that people should be doing?
Before you put it away for the year, I would drive to the gas station, fill the tank up, get a bottle of fuel stabilizer, put it in the gas tank when you fill it, drive it home, and you should be good to go. The fuel stabilizer will keep water from gas from absorbing water over the winter.
And what kind of surprises would that then lead to if somebody's trying to get going in the spring?
In the spring, you're going to have problems with your carburetors or your fuel injection. It's going to hiccup. Most of the time, if you drive the car for a while, it'll work its way out. But worst case scenario, you'd have to drain the tank and refill it.
Okay, that's where we're going to take a little bit of a break so we can hit our commercials and all that. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what we should be doing with these cars and some of the maybe misconceptions people might have, bad things to do. We'll hit more of that coming up here in just a little bit. Stay with Carolina Rides. Welcome back to Carolina Rides. Joining me is Jim Evans from the Hub City Corvette Club and, of course, Master Mechanic, as we're learning a little bit about what we should do as the weather is starting to get a little colder and we're getting through that last round of the fall car shows and people are going to start to be putting their rides away from the winter. Okay, we've talked a little bit about keeping mice out of the car. We've talked about some of the fluids. Let's talk about the electrical system. Obviously something that's not going to get started for a while. It's going to need a little assistance. What are some of the types of things we should and shouldn't be doing as we set those cars aside for the cold weather months?
Again, what you should do, and there's some misconceptions out there, especially with the electrical system. People think that, if I go out once a week and start my car for a couple minutes, it'll keep the battery up, that's fine. You really shouldn't do that. Just running it, if you aren't going to run it for 20 minutes to a half an hour to get everything up to temperature so the alternator kicks in and actually does its job to discharge and charge the battery, it's more or less a waste of time. So rather than do that, go to any store, Harbor Freight, Northern Tool, Walmart, Amazon, and get a battery maintainer. You don't want to get a battery charger. You want to get a maintainer, because a maintainer is going to replicate what your alternator does. This will charge and discharge the battery in a cycle. So the battery doesn't retain any memory or anything like that. It'll keep the electronics working on the car. So that's one of the things you want to do. You could, if you wanted to, take the battery out of the car. Set it aside, disconnect it. That'll help preserve the battery also. And then put it back in the spring and you should be good to go. And another bad thing to have not a bad thing to have when you come out in the spring is if you buy, cooperating with me, but anyway.
Drum roll, please.
what this is a jumper. It's a portable jumper, and you don't have to carry jumper cables or anything with you. Get one of these. Again, any of the stores mentioned previously or Amazon has them, and they have just plugs into the unit, hook up to your battery, and normally when these are fully charged, they'll jump about 20 or 30 cars, depending on the model. So it's not even a bad thing just to carry with you all the time, especially if you have a motorcycle. So, those are some things you want to do with your battery to try and save the electronics.
Yeah. Now you mentioned the battery maintainer, because I know a lot of people, and I've read a lot of stuff about, for example, trickle chargers. What's the difference again between the two? And again, reiterate the importance of why a maintainer is different.
Well, any kind of device that just says that the only thing it says is charger, it's just charging your battery. It's just throwing constant voltage into the battery, which that's good, but when it tops out, that's all it does. A maintainer does what your alternator does. It cycles the battery. So it'll charge the battery, and then it goes through a process where it discharges the battery. The same way, like when you're driving your car, your alternator isn't charging your battery all the time. Your batteries run in the car when the alternator, when it senses the battery level drops to probably about 10 volts, the alternator kicks in to charge the battery while the car is driving. So you want to imitate what the car is supposed to do when you're charging it or maintaining the battery.
Are there any safety considerations we need to keep in mind when we have a maintainer going as opposed to, because I know you got to kind of sometimes really keep an eye on the chargers if you just kind of let it go in the garage.
The maintainers, you can just plug them in, hook them up, and leave them. You know, it's like, even when I was up north, I'd cover my motorcycle, put the maintainer on, cover everything, leave it go, and in the spring, go start it up, and everything was good.
Is there anything else we should know concerning any of the internal workings of the vehicle, things that we should be keeping an eye on as we start to put those vehicles up for the season?
I mean, you know, you want to just make sure everything's clean. Check the vehicle once in a while. Make sure you don't see anything weird going on. Like, again, we talk about the mice droppings or something like that. But, you know, if you prepare it properly, whether you're going to cover it or not cover it, again, personal decision, what you want to do. Everybody has different schools of thought on that.
Now, we mentioned the covering, not covering, and the cleaning aspect. Talk a little bit about what our options are in terms of that. What should we do to make sure that there's not any, paint damage or something from, too much dirt getting in there? And should we have a cover? Should we not have a cover? Does it matter? Does the cover hurt in any way? Because I know some people have said if you have it covered, sometimes you can get dust trapped under there and you start moving things around, you can get those little paint scratches.
Well, and as a painter, if you get a good cover, make sure the cover is lined, that it has a cotton or flannel lining on the inside. That way when you put the cover on, put the cover off, you aren't going to be scratching it. But before you cover it, clean the car like you're going to a show. I mean, clean the chrome, polish everything, wax everything, or if it's ceramic coated, detail it, whatever. Everybody's situation's a little bit different. But clean it good, prep the surface, wax the surface before you cover it. I mean, if you're keeping it outside, yeah, I would definitely want to cover it. Inside, if you have a nice garage that you're keeping and everything is cover necessary, no, but it will keep the dust off, and make springtime a little easier when you go to clean it. You won't have the mess. So.
Okay, how about tires? Is there anything we should be doing concerning air pressure? I know with cars that don't travel a whole lot, sometimes there's a worry that you might flat spot a tire or something like that. Is there anything we should be keeping an eye out for? Is there anything we should do?
This is with older tires, older cars, you always had the flat spots. The tires would retain a flat spot from sitting all winter. The newer tires don't have as much of a problem with that, the way they're constructed. Now, it's not a bad idea, say you run 30, 32 pounds of air pressure in your tire when you're driving the car normally, put an extra 4 or 5 pounds of air pressure, because in the winter, the colder it gets, your air shrinks. So your 30 pounds is going to turn into 26 pounds, almost overnight. So if you overinflate the tires a little bit, it'll help to keep them round. I mean, if you have the room and the facility, if you can get it up on blocks that your tires aren't touching the ground, that's ideal. But again, everybody's situation's a little bit different as far as that goes.
Now, you've mentioned with a couple things, different schools of thought, one of which was, for example, the oil change part. Obviously, with different schools of thought, there are a lot of people who may have been told through people down the line, this is what you need to do, or maybe this is what you need to do. What do you find are probably the most common misconceptions concerning things that you should do to put cars away and that maybe we're doing it wrong, or that is completely wrong, you should be doing it this way?
Well, again, one of the biggest, I think, misconceptions is that, I'll just go out and start my car and leave it run in the garage for 10 minutes and that'll take care of the battery, that'll take care of everything. And it doesn't. It's not long enough to do anything. So other than you going out there and being able to hear the engine run, it's really not doing a lot for the car one way or the other.
Now you mentioned that. I know we also have talked about not necessarily putting your cars up for an extended period of time because maybe of course we're in the South. Weather's going to get nice occasionally. You may want to go for a little ride, take it out. Should we be aware too if we're driving it intermittently that we need to do maybe a little bit more just to make sure everything is charged up, for example? Because if you're just going around the block making sure the fluids get heated up, are we doing a good enough job just by driving around the neighborhood? Should we be driving a little longer to make sure that everything's charged up, that everything is working fine?
If you're going out for half an hour, that's going to be sufficient to get everything up to running temperature and, get the fluids flowing, get everything lubricated, and that's fine. Like I said, the 10-minute, 15-minute thing, not enough. But if you're going to go out, drive around for a little bit, half hour, go to lunch, whatever, that's going to be good. It's not going to hurt the car at all.
Now, you also mentioned when we were talking about the mice and the assorted rodent problems, the story you had with the Chrysler 300. Okay, that was with the cleaning. Have you had or dealt with or know people who have dealt with, just to kind of drive it home, any horror stories from people who have done something to their car or shouldn't have done something to their car or didn't do it before they put it away, and then by the time March rolled around, well, surprise, now we've got a lot of work to do.
Well, sometimes not a lot, but you have the people that forget that they put their car away with no gas in it and go and take it out, and 5 miles down the road they're done. So there's a bunch of different stories out there about, but if you do the basic stuff, when you put it away, you should be able to get it out and go and not have too much of an issue with anything.
Now, is there anybody local or any shops that you're aware of that can also kind of help point you in the right direction in terms of, hey, what do I need to do? Or maybe I've got a specific issue with a car that I got to be very careful with this, and how do I put this away for the winter? Where can somebody go for more guidance?
Well, for more guidance, talk, especially if you're in a car club or something like that, talk to your fellow members. When you go to a show, talk to other enthusiasts, ask them who's doing the work on their car. Your car sounds good, your car runs good, who did. A lot of independent mechanics out there that'll work on the classics, and they'll give you a good idea. You can talk to detailing people about how to prepare the outside of your car and stuff before you put it away for the winter. Like T3 Detailing, they're good guys. There's a lot around. So, just ask around, talk to your club members, go to a car show, talk to the people at the show.
Again, we've had a lot of different clubs represented on this show so far, and that is one of the things that everybody kind of drives home is it's a valuable resource in terms of being able to find somebody who knows probably more about the car than you do, and then you can be that resource for somebody else too. And there's always a way to find out something about that particular car, or finding parts or maintenance or anything like that.
Oh, absolutely. Talk to the people. Like our club, for example, I have a huge garage, I have lifts, whatever. If somebody needs something, we're going to take care of it, so talk to the people, ask them. There's resources out there.
All right, Jim, thanks very much for joining me today on Carolina Rides. We may have you back in springtime as we get the cars back out, just to remind everybody what they need to do to kind of reverse what they did putting things in for wintertime.
Very good. We're always here for you.
All right. Thanks, Jim, for joining me here on Carolina Rides. We will be back in a couple of weeks with our next episode, and we're actually going to be talking about storage in a different way. I've got that show lined up. You can find more about that on social media in the next week. Thanks for joining Carolina Rides. Again, drive safely, everybody. Take care.